No, you haven't done it at this size a billion times. You did it at that lower size, and it changed every time you grow a quarter of an inch or more. You have to go back and do your form and technique, and that's why you had the coach in there. You're saying, okay, remember form and technique. You guys, I want you to work it. And he went, yeah. No, it's very important because you've grown in the last, sometimes feels like 24 hours, right? But in the last week, you guys will grow and change your measurements. And so things don't work the same. Okay, the use of quantitative and qualitative measures of performance will give the coach and the athlete the answers to these questions, such as, do you need an active recovery or a full rest day? Or are you ready for an advanced training day? Or do you need to have a medium intensity day? And what is my L1, L3, L5? Am I pushing too hard? Or am I pushing hard enough? Or am I pushing too hard and being counterproductive? And that's the whole thing. You really want to know, honestly, is your system capable of more? And that's really hard for a young athlete, especially, but even an older athlete to know, am I pushing hard enough? Or is it just I'm a little fatigued because I've got other things going on and I'm mentally fatigued and I'm not as on my game, and I was screwing around talking during my workout, or I was holding back so my buddy could keep up with me. Were you holding yourself back as an athlete because you weren't focused on your sport or on what you were doing?
In the cross training with cardio and the strength, balancing that. So let's say you do like a hard strength training day, you take your HRV, then maybe the following day for an athlete was supposed to be an endurance day. Would you then, based on like that morning, your HRV that morning would then indicate what you would do for your cardio workout?
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, one of the things and the reason I like the BioForce HRV app is he has what's called a readiness factor. And so he's got a complex set of numbers that go into determining that, but it's watching what the last week or two have been, and then he comes up with a number, and it'll either be green, saying, go out, go knock your socks up. It'll be orange, saying, medium today. Or it'll be red, saying, you know what, guess what, today is that light recovery day, and I don't care what's on the schedule. If you don't do exactly what you said, like you did a really hard weightlifting program, and you just haven't, or training the day before, and you haven't gotten the training effect out of it. And see, here's the interesting thing. If you do that weight training, and then you go and do an aerobic conditioning too quickly and haven't recovered from the weight training, I'm using the term recovered, but let's use the term you haven't gotten the training effect out of that day yet. So you'll have gone and lifted those weights, and what you're doing is taking a scrubber and saying, never mind, to your body. In other words, when you have a training day, whether that's aerobic or anaerobic, you want to actually let your body completely build itself back up and have your HRV come back up. You've now maximized your benefit from that workout, right? So there's no point in doing another workout that will erase the benefits of the previous workout. So you see this, that's a great question. You'll see this in athletes that they're going back out and exercising too soon, and they're undermining the benefit of the exercise they've already done. They haven't maximized their benefit. Well, why kill yourself 5 days a week when 3 days a week works better?
So in fine-tuning an athlete, like if they're an endurance athlete but they need strength training, then that's where that's the balancing of the program.
Right.
One way.
Exactly, yeah. And they do need that cross-training, and they do need to recover from that cross-training. A lot of times athletes will say, well, I'm an endurance athlete, so I don't want to, the weightlifting thing, I'll just throw that in there, and then I gotta get back to my other aspect of my workout. No, don't go out and ruin that weightlifting, or conversely, don't go out and ruin the benefit of the cardio by jumping in and doing weight training again. You will wash it out. You'll stop your body from responding to that. Your body is like, what have we done lately? I'm going to respond to that. So if you pile up too many workouts, and again, that's why this is such a great tool for a coach, because a coach is like, hey, I've got this plan, and I've got it built up, and this is what I want you to do. And then some of the athletes are kind of lagging, and it's like, why is this athlete lagging in this training regimen? Well, because there's something going on. They have PE class, and they're doing weight training in the PE class. Oh, now they do that at the schools by me all the time. The kids will be in a weight training class, with the PE teacher, and of course, you have to do this kind of exercise. Well, I don't want my runner, my 800-meter runner, doing squats the day of their competition or the day before their competition, and that stuff gets in the way. And coach doesn't know that, parents don't know that, and kids like, you got to do it. Everybody else in the class doesn't, and the teacher will give me a bad grade if I don't do that. Well, how will the coach ferret that out? How will the parent or the athlete ferret that out? Well, that's why we use heart rate variability to go and find that. But that's exactly it. That's how you use this as a tool to figure out what are the other things going on that I might not otherwise recognize. And it's that unrecognized stuff that it's just very useful for that. Question?
So after workouts before, I've had my heart rate go, like my HRV increase so much that the line is orange.
Yep.
What does that mean?
It means your body is getting a tremendous training effect and that it's healing, right? That's the parasympathetic part, the housekeeping. And it's orange saying, don't do too much. Be a little active. That's like in your training thing, the coaches say, well, maybe an active recovery day. That would be a good active recovery day. You should do something, but don't do even an L2.5. Because you're getting a tremendous result from that training. Whatever that training was great for you. And your body's doing let's build the training in. I'm going to build up this muscle. We're going to make the heart more contractile. We're going to open up the arteries here. We're going to make your lungs bigger. You're growing as an athlete that day. Don't mess it up.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a question here in the front?
Over here.
No? Oh, over here. Okay. Somewhere.
Is there a way to use this tool to figure out if you need more of one type of training or another?
Exactly. Yes. What you'll see, Eric, can you fast forward all the way back to the end there where that thing was? Just. Oh, there we go. If you're not getting these dips with your training, either you're not going hard enough or you're not getting enough of it. And so for a weightlifter, somebody who does weightlifting regularly, their heart rate variability is generally going to be closer to their heart rate's going to be higher, let's put it that way. Their heart rate will be here and there won't be as much of a difference between these two lines. Meaning that person needs more cardiovascular training. So if the heart rate is too high, you need cardiovascular training. If the heart rate variability is too low, you have to either more recovery or there's something you're doing. And maybe that's you're not getting good rest, right? Okay, so I had a patient and she would take her heart rate variability in the morning and it was always really bad. She goes, it's always really bad. But she goes, and then a couple days I just didn't have time in the morning, so I measured it before I went to bed, about 9 o'clock at night, and it was really good. What do you think is going on? Where are you sleeping? Oh, I have we have a mold problem in our house and got a lot of must in there. I said, do you have asthma and allergies? Yeah, I've got. She goes, I take Advair every morning. How about you take Advair before you go to bed so that you can breathe at night? Switched it. But so there are those things, and she needed more aerobic conditioning, or she needed to do something about her lungs, and that means cardio training, as opposed to doing something about your muscle that you're too low on this. You need to not do as much weight training. But if you're too high, then I do have athletes. I had a former miler from Ohio State. He's a great guy and just a fantastic runner. He wasn't doing enough weight training, and so he kept getting these injuries. Those repetitive strain injuries that you're like, well, what is this? His heart rate variability was tremendous, and you're thinking, what the heck's going on? And that was an athlete that I had to go, look, did you have to go back in the gym and do some more weight training because you're injuring yourself all the time? It's not a cardio problem. You've got great cardio. His heart rate was just, it's almost on the point where you send him to the doctor saying, you have adrenal fatigue here. And that was the whole thing, is like less cardio, a little more weightlifting. And that got him out of that, and was the cross training and that whole aspect of it. So yeah, you can figure out, do they need more cardio? Which exercise do they need more of? Do they need more cardio? Do they need more weight training?
And that's if your heart rate's too low, you need to add more weights?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That'll tell you that you're doing a tremendous, look at it this way, you're almost killing your drive to have a heart rate. It's gotten so low. And we call that adrenal fatigue or adrenal problems. Like if it kicks over far enough down, and you go to a doctor, they will say, yeah, you have adrenal problems. You'll have adrenal fatigue or adrenal failure.
Well, you still have a high HRV.
And you still have a high HRV. I know, and you're like, wait a second. So you want to counterbalance that. You're doing too much of one thing, and you're really, really good at that. But a tool that does the one thing constantly breaks, because those same forces are put on it all at the same time, right? You bend a wire, but if a wire gets bent multiple ways all the time, the wire doesn't break. But if you do it enough times in one direction, it breaks. And that's again what we're kind of looking at. Should you do more cross training? Should you do more weight training? Should you do something that counteracts what you're really good at. You really love endurance training, and you go out and do it and run miles and miles and miles, but you're gonna break yourself. You're gonna, you're gonna get that FAI, that femoral acetabular impingement. You're gonna get that, that knee, that runner's knee, or that runner's hip, or that, plantar fasciitis, or you're gonna get, yes, so you're doing too much cardio. And that, which is kind of a, how can you get too much cardio? Yeah, you can get too much of anything. Answer your question? Okay, can we flip this way back? Okay. Yeah, okay. So the heart rate variability monitor, this is what the app looks like, and it's a 2.5-minute test. There are other apps out there. A lot of them go off, and there's the one that comes with a Samsung. You put your thumb on the LED flash in the back, and it'll measure your HRV in about 30 seconds, which has zero scientific validity. So the 2.5-minute is typically, the cardiologists say the 5-minute test is the limit, or the lowest you can go. But what Joel did, the guy who came up with this, is he took just tons and tons of studies, and what they figured out is that you can do pre-programming in the software to figure out what kind of person this is. So after you have about 5 days of information, and that's just it, you're only doing a 2.5-minute test today, but after you've done about 5 days, now you have your 10-minute test, so your heart rate variability it's actually a useful measure. Nobody wants to sit there for 5 minutes, and every once in a while something will happen and the HRV app will kick you out. I have one patient, he has ectopic beats in his heart, and if he gets too many ectopic beats, it kicks him out. Dang it, I retake the test. And so if we keep him quiet and don't let him move and don't let him get to thinking about things, we can get the test to go. But he has a specific heart thing, and we found it with the HRV app because he's like, I don't understand it. I keep getting kicked out of the app. What's going on? When's the last time you had an EKG? So we went and sent him back in for an EKG, and the doctor's like, oh yeah, you have you have like 3 dead spots in your heart. Well, he's 80, so he was like, darn it.